Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. Fall will come, but all I'm seeing now is mostly signs from summer's heat when the little tall phlox are beginning to let go of their bloom, and even the foliage is beginning to wilt, and some of it is even crisping up. My little grass under the redbud tree that I recently planted needs some water, as does the whole garden. It was such a lush green right after the rains, but now it does still have a little green left in it, but mostly it's turning yellow and even shades of brown. And it will be a few more hours before I brave to come out here long enough to water all this. But in the meantime, like this little celosia, things are beginning to wilt down. They've been coming back to life about 20 minutes after I water, so I'm hoping they will continue to do that. If I can continue to have enough energies to actually get out here in the heat and give them a little aid. And yesterday, along with watering, I had to set things back up, re-glue things together, because things were just knocked over and broken, and I had to re-glue things. And I'm blaming it on raccoons, and I really think that is what happened. But they go for your plant food, and I had a little cardinal, bright red, beautiful cardinal out here, and I'm sure he was requesting that I fill up some of these bird feeders. So I did, but it didn't turn out to be good for either one of us because the raccoons are who got it. My castor bean is usually one of the first things to wilt, but it's actually still standing up pretty good today. I did give it a little extra water yesterday just because it was wilted down terribly. And these little zinnias, they're so beautiful, but they're wilty, and they do not take long for them to wilt down. As soon as they lose some of their moisture, they just can't hold on. And I give up on the grass, I do. I'll try again next spring, but not again this summer. And I think fall would not be the right time either, because it probably wouldn't get its roots established well enough to make it through the winter. So anyway, that's a job for next spring. Look at this little hibiscus. It wants to bloom, but it knows it's so hot out here. All it can do right now is wilt. And of course, these are more signs of the hot summer. The irises are just turning. They have a little green, but they have more yellow and brown than they do green. And of course, the peonies are all wilted down too. Look at this poor little peony. It's just suffering. It's suffering like I do in this heat. And it's a great thing that I did go ahead and put sedum in these little pots, because they have a chance at least. And I'm sure even they are anxious for me to get out here and give them a little drink. And yesterday the raccoons jumped on this, and then on this, trying to get to this little where I had some bird seed, but I think it might all be gone now. They just knocked everything down. This little pot was upside down, and it looks terrible, but it will come back in the fall if I can just keep it alive. This is not a good time for the garden, but this too shall pass. But in the meantime, all us little fragile things are struggling, but we're not giving up. Well, not totally giving up. Nothing looks great though. And I know how it feels because I feel that same way. And right here is where some of it did not bounce back. I had watered and I came out yesterday and it was the day to let this part go. I've been trying to make it go 2 days, but it needed watering then, but I decided no, I'm not going to do that. So there it is. And I think the last time I showed you the little strawberry pot, it was just full of blooms. But even though it is still doing well as far as the foliage, it's just not able to bloom in this heat. At least not very well. I also had put a watermelon rind out here with still, you know, the little bit of the red part of it still left for the butterflies, but guess who got that too? You're right, the raccoons did, and they made a sloppy mess out of it. Well, actually not sloppy, it was pretty dry by the time they got finished, but they did tear it apart and strew it over the garden a bit. But maybe, just maybe, the garden and I can hold on for better days to come. And when the zinnias are looking fresh still, they look so pretty. But you know they have to have that water and keep their soil moist or they will not make it. Look at this one, you can tell it's not very happy, and neither is this little one here. Still a few up here that are trying. We may end up giving up, but we don't give up easily. Because we're bringing beauty to whoever needs to see it. You know, the Bible says, whatsoever things are lovely, and it adds a whole list, but that's one of the things that we need to think on. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, think on these things. I think it says, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. And I moved this little hibiscus around a bit because it was covering this pretty lime green coleus up, and now you can see it also. And these tiny little pots are getting enough shade and enough filtered sunlight through the shade to keep going and to keep from drying totally out. They'll be ready for a drink. They're probably ready now, but I'm not quite ready to start that job. I'm going to wait a little later so that at least by the end of my watering, it'll be a little cooler in the garden. This little yellow coneflower that I had such high hopes for, it was a perennial and I was hoping it would be back every year for years to come. But you know, that's just another thing we have to keep in mind when we buy something on that sale rack, because it basically means that the best time for planting or transplanting anything is over. But you never know what July and August may bring, because sometimes they're not so terribly hot. This has not been one of those years, so it's probably gone. I'll hold out hope that maybe it'll come up from the root. I have several things I'm hoping that for. Look at this little blue plumbago flower on the ground cover. It's really pretty, even though it's looking, the foliage part is looking scraggly and dead too, but it does just help that little blue flower to shine. And I do have a few of the little double petunias that are still alive and doing well. And I don't suppose this little plant could have done any better. I'm so surprised every day when I come out here, and it still looks fairly fresh. And I forgot which Profusion Zinnia I planted here with this, but it's blooming a pretty orange bloom, and now I can know this would be something I would do, is put this purple to navy blue flower right close by an orange flower, because I love the way they play off of each other. And even if my zinnias don't look great this year, maybe we'll get some great seed for next year, because I've had several little individual zinnias that look great, but they just don't. They're kind of scraggly where I put them in together. I was expecting this little pot to just be full of beautiful blooms. So far that hasn't happened. And my little castor bean over there is still alive, and right now it's not even wilted down, but at this heat it probably will be by the time I get out here to water. And actually, look at this little candy cane or peppermint lace crepe myrtle, because it's actually got some blooms and it hasn't even gotten any rain, so that's great. I'm hoping we'll get some this week, but we only have 2 chances, and they are very low chances, so most likely that's not going to happen for us this week. Sometimes the impatiens do look good, but then of course other times they just seem to give up on trying to bloom. And these are some more little zinnias that I will take seeds from. Even though they're faded, you can still see that this little plant has a beautiful form. And these little coleuses, they just keep right on going in the heat and everything. It's just wonderful. If you can keep them watered at all and just enjoy them, because they're just beautiful. This one was so big when I got it, and of course it's bigger and more beautiful now. The bougainvillea is still looking great. And look at this little dew plant. There's a little bloom, and there's several, not a whole lot, but there's a few. Looks like 3 or 4 at least in here. But just look how the foliage has grown since I put it in this pot. So even though I have to keep reminding myself that there is some beauty out here, and that it's worth trying to keep it going through these dog days of summer, it's nice when you realize that it's not just talk, it's really true, that there is some beauty here. Can you see that dragonfly? Well, not now, you can't, he flew away. And I usually clip the top of these out when they start making seed, unless it's real close to fall, and then I leave it. It's not all that close to fall, but this is the first little bloom I've seen, so I think I'm going to leave this until it makes some seed and put those in an envelope so that if I need to and I want these again in the garden, which I'm sure I will, if I keep on having a garden, I'll want some of these pretty called limelight coleuses in the garden. So I'm going to try to save those for seed. And this little sedum that I put in the top of this little, it used to be a bird bath, but now it's just a little planter and very small at that. But look how well this is doing, just flowing over and hanging down and looking just pretty great. And this is another little zinnia of great form to save for seed for next year. This right next to it, even though it's kind of looking pale and spent, you can also tell that it has a pretty pale pink color and a double form to look good. If we can save seed and start them again next year, it'll be great. And this one, while it's not a double form, it might be like a semi-double form, and it's very pretty too. I'll try to save it also. And this little sun impatient, while it gets a little sun and some shade, it's really looking good. I have one just like it in the back that's just almost totally gone, if not totally gone. It doesn't look anything like this. Some of my caladiums are up and looking good, but some of them I haven't even seen, and one of them is the pretty black caladium that I love, and I feel like I may have lost it because it should be up and shining in its beauty by now. And this little zinnia is another example of pretty in both color and form. And the pretty gomphrena, it's already like a dried flower to begin with, so it doesn't dry out like all the rest of these blooms do. And these are going to be some more that will open up. I can see a little bit of color on them now. I don't know if you can, I think you can see that too. And then the ones that are already blooming are looking great. And these all came up volunteer from last year as far as the gomphrena, the globe flowers. So if you have something you love that you plant each year, just keep it up, because at some point they'll just start putting down their own little volunteer seed and coming up, and I love that. And these are some of the volunteer double cosmos. Don't really look double, do they? But they're very pretty and I like them, and they do come back volunteer from the year before. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.